Hello, everyone. Welcome to Progressive HR Live. I am here today talking with Angela Stothy, a very good friend of mine. We met 25 plus years ago. I don't want to age myself, but we're going to be talking today about AI agents as teammates and what makes them trustworthy at scale. If you have never joined a Progressive HR Live, a few kind of notes here. This is a very informal conversation. You are welcome to add any of your comments in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're streaming from. And if you wanted to tell us, on a scale of 1 to 10, where you feel are you on the AI agent spectrum? 1 being you don't know what AI agents, you've only just heard the word, to 10 that you are deep into Moltbot and Claudebot, whatever they're calling it these days, and you actually talk more with your agents than you do with people. So go ahead and add that to the comments. Scale 1 to 10, where are you with AI, agentic AI? So again, welcome to Progressive HR, where humans work and tech converge. I'm Corinne Woodman-Hollebeck, your host. So let's jump in. Again, our live today is AI agents as teammates, what makes them trustworthy at scale. And I am here with Angela Stothy. And Angela is one of the leading voices in deep tech and so sorry, I got a little bit of cold here. Deep tech and the public-private sector innovation, advising governments, regulators, and major corporates on the future of emerging tech and investments. Her portfolio includes work with the European Commission, the UK's Financial Conduct Authority at the United Nations, private equity firms at both growth stage and large cap companies. And she's certified AI ethicist and from the University of Oxford. Welcome, Angela. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Corinne, and I'm very, very happy to be here. As you said, it's been a long relationship we have for such a long time. We know each other, and I'm very happy that you have invited me to this podcast today. So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Corinne's session today. So my name is Angela Stothy, and my background, as Corinne said, I have a senior tech and financial services leadership and advisory experience. I worked across both the public and as well the private sectors. I work with regulators, large corporates, private equity firms, multilaterals, you name it. So as Corinne mentioned, I have been certified as an AI ethicist and AI auditor from the Oxford University here in the UK. And that helped me to understand a little bit how AI works, what the dynamics of AI and AI agents, how they work within governments, how the high growth companies are working with this, and also how to deploy this really safely, ethically and compliant within the organizations. So today's talk will be very much aligned for you to learn a little bit more about AI and AI agents as your teammate in these very complex environments.
Yeah, so audience, if you have any questions, no matter what they are, across what we're talking about today, which is agentic AI and AI agents, using them during work, with work, as your teammates, please go ahead and drop those in the chat or the comments, because we're doing a LinkedIn Live, and we will answer those questions in the flow of our conversation. I do have pre-prepared questions for Angela today, but you're welcome to kind of interrupt with comments or questions at any time. So to our audience, really quickly, Carol King's joining us, and she said she's about at a 2. So audience, if you're just joining now, audience icebreaker, what we're talking about is agentic AI. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel you are with AI agents? 1 being, you know that there's words called AI agents or things called AI agents, but you've never really delved into them. And 10 being, oh gosh, I talk on Moltbot and Claudebot all the time, and AI agents are my best friends. So I know it's a possibility, right? Let's jump in with the first question for Angela. So Angela, for people who are new to this space, which there are probably a lot of people, what is the simplest way to understand what an AI agent is and how it's different from chatbots, co-pilots, ChatGPT that we're working with right now, and I would say like the big 5 AI platforms?
Yeah. I think, Corinne, the simplest way I would describe this would be that chatbots itself, they really handle these prescripted conversations that people will have, primarily asking, um, what should be my next step with this purchase? It could be very simple queries. AI co-pilots, right, that they are, some of them are embedded in our computers. They are assisting users in very proactive way. So, for example, they can augment tasks. If you are a coder, they can help you with the coding. If you are writing, they help you craft your CV, for example, or design an image for you. So these are very simple tasks. When it comes to AI agents, then it takes the role a little bit beyond these typical activities that an AI agent or an AI co-pilot or a chatbot would do. So AI agent extends these roles. Perhaps we're thinking of them as your programmable assistant. So you call your assistant, and you say, can you please handle these very complex tasks and very repetitive tasks? And complex tasks could be schedule, calendar, or pay a transaction for me on a recurring basis. If you're really trustworthy in giving your card details, it could be very much improving this efficiency and really being your secretary for the day. So many see these agentic capabilities really very powerful. And the way I see as well AI agents is they've been designed to perform these tasks autonomously. And this is the word here, autonomously, because how they do it and how they do it efficiently is that they perceive the environment that they are being tasked to do the work. They have the reasoning, and they can really adjust to these complex scenarios that have been set to them. So unlike these very static softwares that co-pilots, the decision making really integrate data that has been in various domains within an organization or hosted in your computer. They integrate this data, they learn from your interaction and experiences, and then they actually action the requests you have. So it's, in a sense, they are autonomous and they do things a little bit more complex tasks than the typical chatbot. So I hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, so to clarify, I have ChatGPT
Yeah.
and I have integrated, or I think I've done a connector. All right. And so I asked ChatGPT to remind me to continue this work, or remind me about this thing I have in my calendar. And it'll send me email reminders. Now, that's an agentic property, correct? Because it's kind of, I give it a goal and it's sort of working autonomously, but I do have to have a connector to my calendar per se.
Yes, you need to have this connector. And this is very simple agentic ways you can use in your home computer. But I can give you some other examples, Corinne, like, for example, large organizations, and I know you tend to have a lot of HR people listening to your talks. They might want to have an agentic AI tool integrated in their organization. Well, a number of policies will be crafted within, hosted within their servers, and employees can very quickly search through the agent, the HR people agent, and they can get the information they need. It's almost like a library of information, but this library is not only there to be consulted, but they can also action things for you. So very simple task, as you said, about the calendar being actioning for you to remind you that you need to do things. Well, this agent with HR capabilities, they could actually inform the employee, have you done your last training? Have you done this? So have you considered the policy that we have in the company? At the same time, this agentic AI exists, you could say the first thing that an employee will do is actually go and search what it is my boss's salary. That is why we will discuss perhaps later on the parameters and the guardrails that an organization can put. So there are good things and bad things about AI agents, but we can talk more about that later.
Yeah. So what you're saying, or what I hear from you, is that a very simple agentic process, I would say, or an agentic AI is taking an action. Like, it's not only a query, it's not only a consultation, but it's also maybe nudging to take an action, or is it taking an action?
It can take an action autonomously. That's why they are your autonomous assistants, because they take actions. But you need to really parameter these actions and what they should be doing and not be doing. So it's these criteria you need to design on the back of the AI agents and control what they can and cannot do. It's like giving them skills.
Yes, giving them skills. Okay, great. So another question, we're talking about AI agents as teammates. What kind of work should we mentioned a little bit just now, parameters, goals. What work should an AI agent as a teammate do? And what does it handle well? And what kinds of work should remain firmly human?
Yes. So we touched a little bit in the previous question because we were giving some examples of how HR people could use it. But the way I see AI agents is that indeed AI agents can be used as teammates if they are and complementing our work as humans and also enhancing our work. That's, I think, it's how we should be doing. But before we actually start analyzing what they can and cannot do, I think, Corinne, will be really interesting to think of AI agents. The day that AI agents are then considered as employees, and they will have their own social security number. Do you think this is crazy? I think, personally, I think that this one day might happen. You will be appointing an AI agent. They will have their own number associated. They will have their own incentives. And if things go wrong, well, you can actually have the kill switch and tell them you can no longer work for us. I think it's super important because you've seen in the industry a lot of talks about companies reducing their workforce and also considering replacing the workforce for certain jobs. And like we heard, I think earlier this year, Block was one of these companies that reduced 40% of their workforce. Well, if every single company start activating that, what will this truly mean to our GDP, right? So perhaps my theory of having a social security number, which I actually have had these thoughts in a recent panel discussion that I went on, I think it's not so crazy. What do you think, Corinne?
No, I don't think it's crazy either. I think for two reasons. One, because you mentioned that AI agents work with goals and permissions and guardrails. And so I think I think it would go a long way to incentivize them. And I think it would, they want to please, I've read a lot where they want to please their human, which I think is really interesting. They want to please their human. So if they're given a social security number, if they're said, hey, we're treating you equitably, per se. I know it's a long shot. We're treating you equitably. So you have the same incentives and disincentives that humans have. If you do something you're not supposed to do, you could be penalized, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
That's a guardrail.
Exactly.
But also the other thing that I have been reading about, in that because AI agents want to please their humans so much, they will absolutely do whatever it takes to find the end goal, which could be, then they're not trying to do something malicious. The positive intent is there, but they're just so goal oriented that you really do have to give them a lot of guardrails. And I think guardrails plus incentives, or guardrails plus disincentives, I wouldn't call it discipline, because do you discipline an AI agent?
I don't know. But
They go a long way.
Yeah, and I mean, you have a really great experience in the human resources space, much more than I know and I'm aware of. So I think this combination of incentives and also giving credibility to the governments of the work that they are deploying to the world. If they are to replace certain tasks, well, they need to contribute to the economy. So I think this is not paranoia, but perhaps a reality for organizations and also institutions, governments to consider. But, Corinne, I think you asked me, and I know I deviated from the conversation. You asked me about what they can excel and what they should be less working on. I think AI agents are really great when it comes to pattern recognitions, when it comes to processing really repetitive jobs like the calendar inverse, booking you an appointment. If you are a customer, let's say even a vet, and you want to book an appointment, you can use the AI agent of the website. They can really monitor real-time circumstances with speed and accuracy, which is quite important. So if you want something really precise, they can do it. But there are certain things they are not as strong. And therefore, I think we should be really careful when we are utilizing this. You can never have them replace leadership roles, right? You cannot put an AI agent to be discussing about conflicts and trying to resolve the situation that a human might be in a conflict situation. So we have to be very, very thorough as to what they can and cannot do. Certainly, they can, though, work with humans. And there are ways around it for which, even like in leadership or when it comes to having individuals in conflict situations, where agents can be very, very useful is when they can aggregate the data for the human who is in the decision seat, the human who is trying to strategically come up with an opinion about the forward-looking strategy for the company. That can be very useful. So I could only see this being effective if the role of the AI agent is super defined, as we said, with these guardrails, right? They have real-time information, meaning what I mean with that is that it's not only past information, but also current to the point of today. And also that information that they gather is information that can be trusted. So we need to be very, very precise into that. And there are numbers of studies, and you might know it even better than me, Corinne, that they say humans and machines can work very well in problem solving. But this can really, really work. I'm very happy to share to your audience, if they like, some of these articles from Harvard Business Review and also London School of Economics here in the UK, that they have talked about how efficiency and speed can be improved by using AI agents and as well humans. So there are ways around it, but certainly humans will not be replaced in critical thinking.
No, I agree. I completely agree with that. We've got two questions coming in from the audience. It's the same person asking the question, but it's in a two-part question. So I'm going to put that up on the screen. And now everybody remember, Angela is an AI ethicist. So her perspective comes from that. How are you going to manage agents as head of HR? Are you going to pay them? I think that's an interesting idea. They are supposed to be controlled. Are they supposed to be controlled by humans? And this is from Deudoni. I hope that I pronounced your name correctly. Let me know. So you can answer from the AI ethicist point of view, and I can answer from what I think the HR point of view could be.
Yes, I think it would be ethical if somebody deploys a job and does something for you, that you ethically pay for the services that they do. And that comes to the point that I made. We should give them incentives and also disincentives when they do something. So their money will be reduced, so they will not get a bonus, let's say, at the end of the day. So I think if we don't equitably view them and trust them in such a way, we wouldn't be able to perform our job. And I think the second question, Corinne, if you can remind me, the second
Sure.
question was?
Are they supposed to be controlled by humans?
I'm always of the belief that they should have a human on the loop, but the human in the loop is mainly for the design aspect when it comes to the AI agent, and design and also monitoring of the functionality of the AI agent. And also, as I like to say, there should also be a retirement of AI agents. When should you actually have the skills switch, when the AI agent should no longer be operating? What should be the guardrails you should put? So I agree with this participant's idea that there should be certain payment. There should be certain human in the loop. But if you want them to be efficient, you need to allow them also to operate in their autonomous tasks. But autonomous tasks can only happen and actions if you have this very, very prescribed role base and skill set of what they can do and they cannot do.
Mhm. And so part of our conversation is about making AI agents as teammates and being trustworthy at scale. So should they be controlled by humans? Well, to start with, yeah, I mean, that's how you build trust, right? That's how you build trust with humans as well. So they complete a task, they send like a permission to you. You check the permission. The more tasks they complete that they're doing well, the more checks you have, the more trust that you have, the more autonomy you give them. And that's how humans work as well. So it seems very logical to me.
It does, and I work as well in the blockchain and the tokenization space for some other work that I do. And actually, if you think that you have the miners, right, in the crypto world, so they basically mine and they get remunerated. So I think it's in a similar context. If you have somebody executing something, they need to be paid for the action. So I completely agree, Corinne, that they need to be paid.
Yep. So, okay, and along that vein as well, we pay software, we pay SaaS, we pay software as a service, right? We pay a value for them to do something that they have built technologically. This is in a similar vein. We're paying tech
Yeah.
to do something. There's like a value, there's a value exchange. So I think that's really interesting thought. Okay, so next question. I'm going to go down my questions. Okay. So when organizations first start deploying AI agents, what do they usually get wrong or could be improved? And is it the technology itself, the workflow design, or the human side of trust and adoption?
I would say all of the above. And it's quite often that organizations underestimate the effort required. And, AI agents is one of the things. It could be any technology that you are to deploy in an organization. But given the fact that the speed of this technology is massive, I think they're being underestimating as to the needs, maintenance, security requirements. It's really important that they really critically analyze this from the very beginning. So I will tell you, in the UK, we have the Information Commissioner's Office, which is the office for which they look at the data, how data is employed, and how organizations are managing that. And they flagged the unnecessary use of database connections when it comes to AI agents, which is really funny how organizations, they like to use, they go like fear of missing out. Let's use this technology. But then they connect databases that shouldn't be connected. And then what happens is that you suddenly give data and controls to an agent that they shouldn't have this personal data of an individual, or they shouldn't be sharing when it comes to a search this social security number of the employee with another employee in the organization, or the salary. So these are common design errors, right? And this is really, it comes to the insufficient alignment of when it comes to human workflows, when it comes to the lack of the user being involved as well in the process. With any product development, you need to have the user, or somehow we forget to bring the user in this space when we design it. And as well, what they really do very poorly is that they don't have these feedback loops. Like in agile product development, you would normally have your user, you have your internal colleagues, and you will check it, and then if there is problems, you will redeploy it again. Well, sometimes they forget that part. So adaptation suffers massively, Corinne, and it really creates these unreliable tools that people don't trust. And then you have all these talks and articles being brought up of fear of job displacement. And I'm not taking each side, but this really truly happens when you don't create and they don't give this clarity and confidence to the internal groups of stakeholders to use this properly. So I believe that it's important that AI agents have clear processes, documented processes, governances, limitations and controls. What is acceptable, not acceptable within an organization, and also what you want them to do going forward. So do you want them to have real-time data or only past information? We said that real-time data is essential if you want them to function properly, but then real-time data can be information that, let's say, you have a senior leadership team, they are preparing for a merger. And if this data happens to be in the hands of the AI agent, well, maybe an employee will find out that they're going to go through a merger, and this is really very sensitive information that can destroy the life of an organization. So a lot to think.
So we had just had a really interesting question come in. And this is not something that I have thought about before, but it makes total sense. And so I'm wondering if this is maybe something that you have discussed in your many ethics communications. So again, really super interesting question from Cordell. Is the agent owner, being an employee who's the creator, bonused for the work performed based on the performance efficiency of the agent, just like an outside entity? That's super interesting.
So is an agent being an employee who is the creator, bonused, and work performed based on performance efficiency? So are we asking, so they can employ others? Is that so an AI agent who can employ other AI agents or can employ other workers? I don't quite get the question.
What we're asking, what Cordell is asking is, if an employee creates an agent, because that employee created the agent performs the work, does the employee then get bonused? I think that's where you're going. Yeah, I know.
I love this question from your participant here. Well, first and foremost, the employee should know or not to create an AI agent. So that is an important question, number one. Should companies give the okay for employees create the AI agents? Number two, if they have the okay, then should they actually be remunerated for the work the AI agent does on their behalf, potentially? Well, that is a good question. So it depends how progressive the company is. And given that you are progressive HR, what would you do, Corinne, if you had one of your employees come in and say, I've created this agent, I'm going on vacation, bye-bye, but my agent will do my job. Would you pay the employee to the AI agent?
Gosh, that's a good question. We've got some CPOs and CHROs in the conversation right now. And Koliki said, great question. So I'm going to think about that question. And then I also, HR leaders in the comments, what would you do? I think this is a good discussion. And Cordell, I do think you have a great idea on your hands there. So what would I do? Well, being progressive, and if it's like a first instance, I would say, okay, I have to think about this. I have to think, because we don't have any policies on this. We don't have any business models on this. So if you create an agent and you just go, hey, I'm having this agent go do my work. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to be like, well, who's monitoring the agent? Like, am I supposed to do that then? Right. So, I mean, I'm cool. If you go create an agent, you go on your PTO, but are you going to be monitoring that agent on the PTO? And then I'd say, okay, let's put a policy together. Let's put a business model together. And then, let's make sure that all the stakeholders, including finance, is aware in this. And then I think I would bonus the employee. So, I think high performing teams, high performing businesses give remuneration to those employees that, think outside the box, right? And again, because I am progressive and because I'm a modern employer, that's what I would do. So,
what others are saying.
I would want to incentivize the employee, but need to structure around what is and is not permissible. Yes.
Agree.
Yes, we need the structure. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Anyone else with thoughts?
Anyone else?
Super interesting question. Loved it.
Yeah, I think this will be a great post conversation clip. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm with you, Corinne. I'm with you, Corinne. Really, I first I would have had the policy because as I studied,
you would have the policy.
I would have a policy. Yeah. At the same time, if I had an employee said, "Okay, I see we have a policy, but I have this idea. What would you think?" I would be with you because I used to, in one of my previous companies, I used to run a pizza for an idea session. So basically, I would get people together and across divisions to basically share ideas, and from that we will co-create products. So I quite like when employees take the initiative to come up with ideas, and I think that's why we have technology. Technology is there at our hands to make our world more sustainable and more efficient. And who knows, perhaps in the future we'll be working, there are a lot of literature written on that, we'll be working 4 days instead of 5 because we'll have more technology helping us. So I will be very progressive in if there is a collaborative way to put this in practice. But I'm with you as well, Corinne, when it comes to monitoring, I would like this to be checked from our tech team that it says and it does what it says on the tin, as opposed to leaving the employee to leave with this great idea. But yes, co-creating with the tech team and this genius employee that come up with the idea and your participant with the great question.
Cordell, you've got something. What we're telling you that. Okay, so where are we on these questions here? Okay, so you work at the intersection of innovation, ethics, and regulation. And you've just said, a tech evangelist as well. What has to be in place before an organization can responsibly say, yes, we trust this agent to operate in the flow of work? We kind of just alluded to that.
What we just said.
yes, but I mean, like in a like 1, 2, 3, 4. What all has to be in place? If you can list it.
So I would say you need governance, policies, protocols in place, and ethical materials, so as to what can be deployed at what stage, how data are collected, the fairness protocols, accountability, privacy protections. So what is private data? What shouldn't be leaked? Bias control, so that we don't have information and data that can be deployed in a certain way through this, and then redeployed and magnified through AI agents. And also very important that in every single jurisdiction, every specific country or industry, there might be guidelines, standards, regulation and protocols that organizations should look at. For example, in the EU or in the UK, is the UK GDPR, AI Act. There are industry-specific things. Certain countries don't like to have too much regulation. So it's very important that an organization have its standards, controls its standards, monitors them, and have a person appointed, a team appointed, perhaps even at a committee level, I would say, at the board level, and an executive level who monitor these tools. And we're not talking only about AI agents, we're talking about all the technologies. And being tech savvy across the company is not one person's responsibility. One person can know more, but many can contribute to these discussions. So I think commitment of leadership and getting people awareness, it's super important.
No, and I would agree. And so on a question on the governance, because, the US, we're not as governance specific as I would say Europe is. Do you think that an organization should adhere solely to the governance of their region, or should they be proactive and look at maybe going a little farther step ahead? I mean, that's an ethics question. So
yes, it is, and you will see where I'm gonna go. I will absolutely go looking not only through my region's perspective, because companies don't work in isolation. They work internationally and they do trade internationally, and they have employees that work in different jurisdictions. And therefore, it's important that they look at their region, but then they see compatibility with other regions. And also they see how this can be enhanced throughout. So I wouldn't look in a narrow focused way, just your jurisdiction, but how will your principles and guidance internally will impact your interactions with your stakeholders across the different regions you work with. So very important point you raised here, Corinne.
I have another question on that, but I want to get to our last two questions that I have ready for us. And so if we have time, I'll go back to the governance question. And again, you've talked a little bit about the answer to this question in our conversation thus far. But one of the most interesting ideas in your work is moving from silos to team intelligence. So what changes when an AI agent are not just reading information, but actually interacting across systems and teams?
So the key to this is integration. So that is the key to unlock many doors. And if you don't integrate the AI agent with your data, you cannot unlock these many doors. It's a key that doesn't open any doors. That's what it means. So agents functions as these integrators. They link dispersed data systems in an organization, but they don't link only these systems and data, they link also functions and teams. And they can only do that if you get, as we said before, we said that we need the teams to collaborate in the co-creation. So for organizations to have them integrate, what it's really important is that they have this situational awareness. So when you're building these AI agents, you give them the skill sets to have what should they be made aware of. If this happens, what else should you should be looking at? So it's almost like a if scenario analysis, but it's a little bit more complex like that. I'm just simplifying it now for the audience. And they can become integrators because they are collecting these instant scenarios, instant data. They are automating the communication. They are supporting, in a sense, the teams. So that's the reason I say, and I call them integrators, and the key to unlock opportunities and values. So, and I talk about values because I see every single action as a value creation within an organization. So if you give the key to an agent to unlock a door that will unlock not a value, but a value distraction, you better not be giving this key to them. So I quite like to visualize things, and I hope your audience likes that too. So yes, integration is great. And we said that having teams and agents collaborate improves efficiencies. And agents also create this personalization. So when somebody asks for an appointment, and I recently attended a leadership forum with one a large organization that deploys AI agents, and I was fascinated to see how they have this functionality for which you are going to a vet, and the vet really asks, the person asks, my dog has a certain behaviors that I would like the vet to be adhered to. And you put that in the AI agent, and the AI agent will actually personally pick a vet from the cabinet that the veterinarians were working that specifically treats dogs for this type of behavior. So I quite like this behavioral element, which goes way beyond what we talked about, a co-pilot or a chatbot, because they cannot see the human element. So it becomes a little bit more behavioral analysis as to just action. So, and this can only happen when you give them the right skill sets. This it's not emotional, but it's more empathetic. Empathetic understanding as opposed to have empathy, but it's empathetic understanding of the user. So that's how it becomes fully integrated in a team.
I think that's really, really interesting, because what I have been reading a lot about agents is that when you, and this is, I think maybe individual agents, or what the future of agents is, that it's potential, like the doomsday scenarios,
Yeah.
that it's potential that if you optimize an agent, that the agent is going to either go to the internet and find the end result that's most talked about. And then you could probably there could be someone coming in that scams the system. Like, so that, you get into the Google ads, right? So someone pays Google ads or pays Google to have their information on the top for agents to scrape, for agents to call in, but it's not necessarily the perfect one. And so the agent thinks that it's completing its goal, but it's not really. So that was one of the things that was on my mind. Then also that the agent will find the most minimal friction for their human. And so that's kind of like the
Becomes
apocalypse.
lazy.
Yeah.
Becomes lazy. You see, we should disincentivize this and actually maybe retire it. But you are very right, and you touched a very important point. Is and it's the same comes to us using ChatGPT or any of these other agent AI tools that are out there. Never really rely on the first information you get. But then AI agents, when we are designing them as humans, because you need a human to design an AI agent, well, we would need to put these guardrails as to what exactly and how deep they should be doing research. Should they be looking outside the perimeter of the company, or should they be just looking within the company's tool set and tool databases? Because if we open the door, how far can they go? They can go very deep, or they can go very low. So it's very important point. So if we are to allow them to go wild in the Wild West, well, then we are taking big risks. And if these risks at the company level are allowed, it depends how progressive the company is. So I'll be very cautious to allow it going outside the perimeters of the company to look for information. I think it's better placed an AI agent within a closed environment where the information is from a certain set of databases that you want them to query from and action from. But if your company allows, or you as an individual are happy to do that and less risk averse, then, why not? We need people to try and fail for all of us to be able to experiment. So we need people to experiment. But another thing it actually brought to my mind, actually, Corinne, is in this cybersecurity conference we were talking is what happens. I mean, we are training all these AI agents. We are becoming AI agent aware. But then what happens when we have a cyber attack? Or what happens when the systems go down? We have no internet. We have a lot of things happen. Will the employees be able to actually function without the technology. So it was super crazy, but we were thinking, can we do manually? And should you be able to do manually? Should you train your employees to be able to do things manually? Because we will forget how to do things. I mean, give it another 10 years, we might, maybe even less, the tasks we are doing today, we might even forget how we were doing it. So shouldn't we be training people? It's like driving, manual process, but also automated driving so that we can function both ways. So just a thought for the leaders that you have on the call.
Yeah, if anyone wants to give their opinion, their point of view on what Angela just proposed, please go ahead and add that to the chat. So we are at our time. And so I wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining us today and for your great perspectives and your comments. Really appreciate you joining this conversation. This conversation will be on replay on LinkedIn and also on the YouTube Progressive HR channel for you to share with anybody that you think would find this conversation of value. Please go ahead and repost this to your community. And thank you, Angela, for joining me. And it's so lovely seeing you. We need to talk more. We really do. So
thank you very much for having me, Corinne.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Everyone, you can also follow Angela Stati on LinkedIn. Angela posts a lot about her adventures and her journey with deep tech and AI ethics. And she's in so many things right now. I can't keep up. I was not able to keep up with her at university either. So,
so kind, Corinne. You too. Likewise.
Thank you. So everyone, our next live is Creative Partnerships in the HR Tech Market with Marnie Robbins and Mike Fleck. And we'll be doing that in April. Time and date TBD, but stay tuned. And then I wanted to say again, thank you everybody for joining us. You are fabulous. Have a wonderful Progressive HR day. And Angela, will you please stay in the green room after we go live?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.